Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Happy New Year. We are officially in 2020 and let me tell y'all, I just can't thank God enough for his infinite mercy and for just bringing me to this point. I'm glad that I get to share it with you guys in this beautiful year. And then just with regards to the fact that this is my first video in 11 months, I do want to address that and I do want to talk to you guys about it a little bit, but I don't want to do it in this video just because I want whatever God has to say to come out. For those of you guys who don't know, my name is Toby, this is my channel Tcubedd, and on this channel we talk about faith and relationship with God. We talk about the complexities of the Christian life, especially as it relates to modern day secularism, the secular world, and then talking about those big difficult topics to tackle, and then just discerning the word of God and understanding how it is that he wants us to live out our righteous life, which we have just by virtue of believing that he is God. So as you guys can see from the title of this video, we will be talking about trusting God, but in this sense we're talking about trusting God for what he said he will do. And so this type of trust has a lot to do with the faith that God asked us to have in order to receive whatever it is that he's promised. And so let me start by giving you guys just like a very basic example that I think a lot of you might be able to relate to. So let's say you are believing God in this year 2020 for a boyfriend. Okay. In this year 2020 you said, God, please give me a boyfriend. And in this boyfriend I want him to be 6'3", Nigerian, God-fearing, and I want him to have sparkling white teeth. Okay. And you're really believing God, you're holding on to the faith because you know, like, last time you trusted God for a boyfriend, like, he came through, and that might have been a lesson, but he came through in that situation. And so you're like, okay, God, like, I have faith, I've built it up, I believe you, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden you start seeing a whole bunch of different guys approach you, and you're like, okay, you're getting excited, like, okay, God, like, you said I'm gonna have a boyfriend, obviously I have options, like, let me pick from these options. And here you have before you like a 5'6" Liberian man who's not God-fearing, but he's toasting you well. And so you think, okay, like, he's treating me right, like, he's doing everything that I would expect a man to do, this must be the answer to my prayer. And when we take a step back to really evaluate what we were asking God for, we realize that this is nothing like who we were asking God for. And this is a revelation that I came across like in the fall semester, so last semester, when I was thinking like, okay, God, I've been trusting you for this, I've been praying for this, and it's here. Or what I thought it was here. And it was a distorted form of who or what I was asking God for, but I failed to see that because I was so willing to compromise. And that's one thing I want to discourage you guys from, compromising on what you've asked God for and what you've trusted God for, because he's not a man that he should lie. He's going to fulfill all of our heart's desires, especially if it's in alignment with his will. I mean, in the Bible it says that he will do exceedingly abundantly above all of our expectations when he's fulfilling those promises that he's promised. And so when we're believing God and trusting God for something, it's very important that we believe and trust God for exactly what we've been asking for. And you know, sometimes we don't get exactly what we've been trusting for because maybe that's not in direct alignment with God, but if that's the case, that's something that God is going to communicate to us. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, he's not just going to say, okay, I'll give you a boyfriend, and then not tell me, like, not make it clear who's for me, if you get what I'm saying. Like, he's going to make clear, like, every step of the process. Like, he's a communicative God. Like, that's the nature of God. He's not a God of fear. He's not a God of confusion. And he's not just going to plant seeds of confusion just because he doesn't want to make clear the answer to your prayer. He is a God who fully fulfills his promises, and it's important that we trust that he will do what he says he will do. And even if that takes time, it takes time. Like, not everything can come quickly just because we're in a hurry to get whatever. And sometimes, like, when we get all these distractions or all these pseudo forms of what we've been trusting God for, one question that we have to ask ourselves is, am I in alignment with God's will? Because when we're not in alignment with God's will, sometimes it can take severely longer for us to reach the promise that God said that he had for us. So, like, An easy example of that is the Israelites when they were marching around looking for the promised land for 40 years, a journey that was meant to take 40 days. And the reason why it took them so much longer is because they weren't walking in alignment with the will of God, or at least their leaders at the time, Moses, and I think Aaron, were not walking, if I'm not right, please correct me in the console, were not walking in alignment with the will of God. And so that caused a lot of confusion and a whole long story that ended up in them walking around for 40 years as opposed to 40 days. And so it's really important that we're constantly checking ourselves, digging deep into the Word of God so that we can remain in alignment with His will. And the last point I want to make is that faith plays an essential role in the fulfillment of God's promises. Matthew 17:20 says that faith as small as a mustard seed is enough to help us to move a mountain. And when we read that verse, oftentimes we look at it and we say a mustard seed is pretty insignificant in size. It's something that's easy to get. We pick up so many other things that are 10 times bigger than a mustard seed. But what we fail to realize is that faith, the equivalent size of a mustard seed, isn't always that easy to get. We need to depend on God in a way that really allows us to activate our faith. Because, for example, me saying, okay, God, I pray that I get home in one piece. And then, every day I can pray that, and then I'm driving home, and I begin to neglect the prayer. And then one day, I'm in a near-death accident. I'm like, okay, God, I was taking for granted that prayer, but I really meant it, and you came through for me. That's something that activates our faith, in which case we then start to believe God for something bigger. Okay, God, I want to buy my first home. And we are applying for homeowners loans, and they're declining, and then all of a sudden comes through for us. That activates our faith more. And so in these situations, what I'm saying basically is that we need to continue trusting God for the little things, because in trusting Him for the little things, it activates our faith for something greater. And in the last 17 weeks of 2019, Pastor Michael Todd at Transformation Church preached a series on faith, saying that we can build our faith all the way from baby faith all the way to crazy faith, where crazy faith is the idea that we're believing God for something that no man would ever believe is possible. And that's a crazy, ridiculous type of favor. And my church actually just recently declared that 2020 is the year of favor. And so I'm trusting God for favor beyond my wildest imaginations, and because I know He goes exceedingly abundantly above all of my expectations, I know that what He's promised in this year 2020 and the years to come is what He's gonna do. All I need to do is hold on to the faith and continue to walk in alignment with His will. So in short, I just want to encourage you guys to hold on to the faith and truly believe that what He said He will do is what He's gonna do. Because if we continue to compromise on things that God has promised to do, it shows that we're lacking trust. Not only trust, but a solid faith that He is God. In some way, it's insulting to the character and the nature of God when we choose to compromise or settle for something less than what God is capable of doing. It limits God, and it's not something that we should do. Even outside of it being something that we shouldn't do, it's you limiting yourself in the sense that you're not believing that you are worthy of whatever it is that you're praying. But by virtue of being a child of God, you are more than worthy of anything that this world has to offer. So please continue to hold on to the faith, trust God, and remain in alignment with His will. I love you guys so much. Have a lovely day.